Good morning, everyone. Hmm, there is a name sitting in the back of your mind right now. You didn't put it there, it just appeared. The moment you saw this title, something in you moved toward a specific person without being asked to, without deliberation, without the slow process of thinking through who this might be about, just immediate, like recognition. Like your deeper knowing already had the answer before your conscious mind formed the question. And that person, the one whose face or name or feeling just surfaced in you, is exactly who I want to talk about today. Not with judgment, not with the weight of whatever happened between you, just with honesty and with the specific kind of attention that unfinished things deserve. Hmm. Drop a comment if someone came to mind immediately without you having to think about it. Because I want to start with the stopping, the moment the speaking stopped, because it rarely happens in one clean instant, does it? It happens in the accumulation of smaller moments, in the gradual cooling of something that was once warm, in the slow widening of a distance that neither person fully chose, but both people allowed. Or in a specific moment, a specific word said or not said, a specific choice made or not made, a specific crossing of something that felt uncrossable afterward, and then the silence, which felt at first like a pause, like something temporary, like something that would resolve itself if enough time passed. And then gradually, the silence became the relationship. The absence became the definition. The not speaking became so familiar that returning to speaking started to feel stranger than staying quiet. Hmm. Can you feel the specific weight of a silence that was never actually chosen, but somehow became permanent anyway? Tell me in the comments, because here is something I want to name carefully. The silence between you and this person.ca rise a particular texture, and texture matters because not all silences are the same. Some silences are clean. They belong to things that genuinely ended, to relationships that ran their full course and arrived at a natural conclusion, where the not speaking is the appropriate expression of something that has genuinely completed itself. Those silences feel different in the body. They have a quality of resolution to them, even if bittersweet, even if occasionally visited by nostalgia. But the silence you're carrying around this specific person has a different texture, doesn't it? It has edges, uneven ones, places where the story doesn't quite sit flat, where something feels unaccounted for, unacknowledged, unsaid, where the silence feels less like completion and more like interruption, like a conversation that stopped in the middle of a sentence, and the sentence is still there, waiting in the space between you for someone to finally finish it. Can you feel that unfinished sentence? Drop a comment if that specific texture is familiar. Now, I want to talk about why the speaking stopped. Not to assign blame, not to relitigate whatever happened, but to look at it honestly. Because the reasons people stop speaking to each other fall into different categories. And the category matters enormously for what is actually possible between you now. Sometimes people stop speaking because something was done that genuinely broke trust, where the silence is the appropriate response to a real violation, where staying in contact would require a kind of self-abandonment that isn't healthy, where the distance is actually protection. And that kind of silence deserves to be honored, not necessarily permanently, but honestly with full acknowledgement of what created it. But sometimes people stop speaking for different reasons because a misunderstanding calcified before it could be corrected, because pride arrived before honesty could, because both people were waiting for the other to move first and neither moved. And the waiting became the wall because life pulled in different directions with the speed and force that life sometimes does. And the intention to reconnect kept getting deferred until deferring became the default, because something painful happened that neither person had the tools to navigate well in the moment, and the aftermath of navigating it badly became harder to face than the silence. Which category does your silence belong to? Be honest with yourself. Tell me in the comments, because here is the probability I want to name. There is a specific kind of relationship, one that carries real history, real meaning, real genuine connection underneath whatever ended the speaking, that does not resolve itself simply through the passage of time. It remains present in the way that real things remain present, in the specific quality of the silence around it, in the way this person's name still produces something in you, in the way certain songs or places or moments carry their echo, in the way you have found yourself in quiet, unguarded moments, wondering how they are, what they're doing, whether they think about this the way you sometimes think about it, whether the silence feels the same from their side as it does from yours, and the probability that those quiet wonderings are not traveling in one direction only is something I want you to consider honestly. Have you allowed yourself to wonder about this person recently, or have you been keeping that wondering at arm's length? Drop a comment, because I want to address something that almost never gets named in conversations about estranged connections: the grief, not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't have a funeral or a ceremony or a socially recognized form. The grief of losing someone who is still alive, who is still moving through the world, who still exists somewhere in the same reality as you, but in a way that is completely inaccessible. That specific grief, the grief of presence without access, is one of the loneliest human experiences, because it doesn't have a clean shape. It can't be mourned the way a death can be mourned. It lives in the ambiguous space between loss and possibility, between over and not quite over, between gone and just somewhere else. And carrying that grief while also carrying the silence, while also carrying the story of what happened, is genuinely heavy. Even when you've gotten good at not showing it, even when most of your life has been successfully built around it, even when you've convinced yourself and everyone around you that you've moved on, the weight is still there. Isn't it? Can you feel it right now? That specific heaviness that lives in the place this person used to occupy? Tell me in the comments if you've been carrying that quietly. Now, let me talk about what this reading is actually here to say, because the title says this, you gotta hear. And I want to honor that with something real, not a promise of reconciliation, not a guarantee that the silence will end, not a prediction of what this person is feeling or doing or planning, but something honest, something that I think you actually need to hear. The silence between you and this person is costing you something. Not necessarily because the relationship needs to be restored, but because unresolved things have a way of occupying space, real estate in the interior of a person, space that could be used for other things, for presence in your current life, for investment in the relationships that are actually here, for the full creative and emotional energy of a person who is not quietly managing an unresolved thing in the background of everything else. And the probability that releasing this dot in whatever form release actually takes for this specific situation would return something to you that you've been living without is significant. Not the release of pretending it doesn't matter, but the real release, the one that comes from actually addressing what is unaddressed, from actually sitting with what has never been fully sat with, from finding somehow the honest relationship to this silence that allows it to stop taking up so much space. Can you feel how much space this has been occupying? Drop a comment if you can feel what it might be like to have that space back, because I want to talk about what addressing it might actually look like. And I want to be honest that it doesn't always look like reaching out. It doesn't always look like a conversation. Sometimes the addressing is entirely internal. Sometimes it looks like finally allowing yourself to fully feel what the loss of this person actually meant without minimizing it, without explaining it away, without filing it under for the best or these things happen or I'm over it. Just feeling the actual weight of it, the actual value of what was there before the silence, the actual loss of having that become unavailable. Sometimes addressing it looks like writing the letter you will never send, saying the things that never got said, not for them, for you. To give the unfinished sentence its ending, even if only in your own interior. Sometimes it looks like genuine forgiveness, not for their sake, for yours. The release of the energy you've been using to maintain the distance, the weight you've been carrying in the form of whatever emotion lives at the center of why the speaking stopped. And sometimes it looks like actual contact, an actual reaching across the silence, not with expectation, not with agenda, but with the simple honesty of a person who has something real to say and has finally decided that the cost of not saying it is higher than the risk of saying it. Which of these feels most true for where you actually are with this? Tell me in the comments, because I want to leave you with something grounded, something that doesn't float. Here is what is true right now. there is a person you stop speaking to, and the stopping, whatever the reason, um, whatever the history, has left something unfinished in you, something that this reading is pointing at. Not to tell you what to do with it, not to guarantee a particular outcome if you do, but to simply name it, to bring it out of the background noise of your daily life and into the light of honest acknowledgement. This person mattered. The connection you had mattered. The loss of the speaking mattered. And somewhere underneath all the time that has passed and all the life that has been built around the silence dot, it still matters. Not in a way that requires action necessarily, but in a way that deserves acknowledgement. Honest, clear, no longer avoided acknowledgement that something real was there, that something real was lost, and that you, as someone who is capable of depth and genuine connection and the specific kind of caring that doesn't simply dissolve with time, you are allowed to acknowledge that without it meaning you have to do anything in particular, without it meaning the silence was wrong to happen, without it meaning the past needs to be revisited or restored or relitigated. Just acknowledgement that it was real, that it mattered, that you carry it, and that carrying it honestly is different from carrying it in the dark. Breathe. Let whatever is true about this person be true, without armor, without the performance of indifference, without the exhausting maintenance of a version of yourself that has completely moved on. Just for this moment, let it be as real as it actually is, and then decide from that honest place what, if anything, you want to do with it. That decision belongs entirely to you. And whatever it is made from genuine honesty rather than fear or pride or the weight of time, it will be the right one. I don't sell futures. I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic. Stay in the now.